Greetings.
Hello. Hey, man. Your chair's
How you
way
doing?
better than
Well, this is well, look, I mean, this is my normal computer chair, so it's a sturdy one I've had for many years, and it's not exactly as probably comfortable as what yours is.
Oh, no, this is a piece of shit. But
Sure.
that looks just epic, dude. Like, it's just cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a gift from years ago, and the sad thing is, I'd like to have a more comfortable chair sometimes, but if you don't have the room, it's kind of you have to choose between, you know, comfort or just something you don't want to let go of.
Yeah, I wouldn't let go of that. Hey, we can swap or something. But hey, Zan, it's awesome to meet you, dude. My name's Nev, anyway.
Yeah, awesome. It's a pleasure to be here.
Man, how's your day been going? How's everything shaping up?
Um, things have been busy. It's when you come up to a new release that
Mm.
it's been quite a while since our last one. You're kind of getting into the motion again. You're realizing how much work is involved in a release, and when you've done the album, you have a bit of time off, and then everything ramps up with interview, press stuff, and then because I do a lot of the artwork and whatnot for the bands,
Yes.
and Tim does the managing side of things, and so we're constantly busy, and it just seems to, we think, okay, next week we might be able to rest a little bit, but then things just keep rolling, and then you have tours coming up, and it's chaos.
But it's good chaos, though.
It is,
You know,
it is. I wouldn't have it any other way, really.
that's my week this week. Is I'm
Yeah,
juggling between interviews with other
mm,
bands and
yeah,
doing my own band stuff, and then
yeah.
not fest at the end of this week. It's just, but you wouldn't have it any other way, man. You know what I mean? It's better to
No.
be creative and all that than sort of sitting around going, yeah, I wish I was doing that stuff still,
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, I pretty much, like, between everything I do, I work 7 days a week. I
Yes.
don't like I don't like having time off. I don't like resting. I don't even really like the concept of having to sleep. So it to me it just feels like a waste of time. But at the end of the day, my body tells me that's enough. You're not going to wake up to your alarm. I'm going to force you to sleep. So, but I wouldn't. I want to do as much as possible with whatever time I have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And man, this new album, Exul, is that how you pronounce it? Exul.
Yeah, excellent.
Exul. Man,
Yeah,
it's incredible. It's out this week on
thank you.
March 24, and this is, as you mentioned
Great.
before, first album for you guys in 5 years. And everything I've heard is you guys went to hell and back to make this thing happen. Like you went through a lot over the last few years.
We did. It was very delayed. It was all meant to be completed within 2020,
Mm,
sort of March, April, I guess May, potentially. We're planning to have everything done, but we only managed to get uh, drums recorded, and he recorded in the US and then got back into the country within 24 hours of Australia closing its borders.
it's hectic.
And we have a member over in France and a member in Italy, so they couldn't come to Australia to record. So the album was ultimately recorded, I believe, across for about 4 countries and 9 different studios. So whereas all meant to be more of a uh, within a couple of studios ultimately. So it's and parts of it were, Tim's vocals were recorded ultimately over about 2 years in between lockdowns. So it's but yeah, at the end of the day, we got there, and I think the time we had, well, especially Tim and myself, to kind of stew over our parts within the record, kind of
Mm.
allowed us to kind of maybe develop and mature a little bit. But sometimes it's a blessing and a curse with when you've got more time. So yeah.
Absolutely, man. And do you find that, it helped you dig into the story and the concepts lyrically a little bit more? Do
Yeah,
you find yourself going back over them? Maybe
Yeah,
overanalyze it.
I did, and a lot of it because Australia went through just prior to the pandemic, so the end of 2019, start of 2020, Australia had some of the worst bushfires in
Yeah, man.
history, and that kind of affected everyone here quite a lot. And then a couple of months later, you have a pandemic,
Mm.
and so we had one shit thing on top of another shit thing, and I think, and then everyone in the band, or everyone in the world ultimately had their own individual, almost their own individual exile from their normal daily life of, living. So doing something, removed from your 9 to 5 job, or removed from, seeing friends or whatever it is. And so I think over time, people, especially a lot of friends of mine, got worse in terms of the isolation, that sort of
Yeah.
thing. And so that kind of I don't personally have an issue with isolation. I personally I love it, so I'm probably one of the few. But I feel for all the people that had a lot to deal with, and the more time I had to think about those sorts of things, it kind of developed. And ultimately, the title of the album came from some of the concepts I was writing about, which coincidentally um, matched what everyone else was going through at the time, in a sense. So Exul was ultimately the perfect word for it.
So looking back on it though, and all the themes that are running through it, is there anything that stands out to you the most from that period of time lyrically that you've really that you put a lot of your heart and soul into, that sort of moves you emotionally now, going back over it, performing them?
Everything I write, I put a lot into, and I write in sort of an abstract way, but at the same time, there's an overall kind of idea behind it. But within that, there's some hidden messages, even personal stuff, just for myself, just to have it in there, which
Yeah.
no one else will know. But all of them kind of affect me. But Equus, the first single we released, was probably the one that means the most to me. Due to the effect on the environment. And, there were millions, if not billions, of animals displaced or killed. And, I'm more of an animal person, people person, ultimately. And, um, and being vegan, that means a lot to me.
Yes.
And it's not something I necessarily talk about a lot, but in my personal life, it's how I live. And that affected me a lot. And so I put a lot into that. And I think, the music itself, because the lyrics were kind of developed as the song was being written. And ultimately, the emotion that comes from the music is how I develop my lyrics and ideas, and try to match that and convey that and kind of accentuate the emotion that comes from the music with that.
And you can feel it throughout it, man. It's a powerful record, dude. I think it's your best to date. To be honest, I think
Yeah,
it's
thank you.
phenomenal, dude. You know?
You'll be it'll be blasphemy for the people that their favorite album is Portal of Eye. But no, I appreciate that, and I think there's a lot of good feedback coming out lately where they've said this is our best record yet. So
Yeah, man.
but everyone has different tastes for different reasons, and so you can't please everyone with what you do. So
Well, I mean, that's true. So don't write me if you they yeah, the internet.
yeah, the internet.
The internet
Yeah,
people, but
yeah, yeah,
but obviously, people are passionate about your band.
yeah.
You're also the pioneers of, the Patreon, support, which is, for music, it's incredible. You guys have got such a loyal fan base. How did you find that those guys supported you throughout the last couple of years? Not just, pitching in financially, but
Yeah.
also through their communication, and sending you guys their thoughts and their love and things like that.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it's so humbling to have so many people supporting us um, over the years, and some people have been with us since 2016 when we launched it,
Mm.
and it's just insane that we've had that much support, and we'll be forever grateful for that. And I think the pandemic kind of opened some doors to ultimately a lot of other bands and people to say it's okay to do this.
Yeah.
And it's just another way of not only for more people to, like, fans to support you, and but in a way it's also you're in a way helping support them as well. A lot of people look up to the music that you do, and without that, some of them potentially we've helped a lot of people with our music. We get a lot of messages saying, it's mind-blowing that we get some messages to say, you've saved my life by some of the music you've done, and without your music. And that's just, for me, it's so humbling, and it's heartbreaking. And so for us to be able to provide I guess you would call it a fan club in a sense, for us to provide more content, more behind the scenes, more personal stuff regarding the band to people that appreciate what we do is incredible. And I think the band fan kind of relationship, I think, is something, and nowadays it's something that needs to be embraced.
Yes.
And so, in the past, bands were a lot more mysterious. They're harder to reach in a sense. But I think with it just seems that there's such a big rise in mental health and that sort of thing. I think this is highly beneficial for fans, but also band members. We're just normal people too. So it's an incredible thing, I think, Patreon is.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you've been on that side of the fence as well as a fan, knowing that, and sometimes the darkest moments of your life, mate, you've got someone on that other side of that speaker just sitting with you, I've experienced it so many times. It's such an important, music is such an important thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I couldn't imagine any other way. I don't know what I'd be doing without music. And it's such it helps so many people. Like, if you look at the pandemic, just even the arts in general, if you look at the pandemic, the amount of art and music people absorbed through that time is incredible. But a lot of those people, your normal people that aren't necessarily creative or whatever, don't necessarily understand I guess they understand to a certain point how important that is, but a lot of these things we take for granted, yet it helped so many people through the pandemic. It's insane. I think the arts is such an undervalued thing, but I think based upon the experience of the pandemic, I think hopefully it's opened a lot of people's eyes to appreciating what artists do.
Absolutely.
And even why they do it.
Absolutely. More funding to it. And when they cut all the
absolutely.
funding, mate, that's a whole other conversation, my friend.
That's a very long conversation.
Yeah. I'm in a good mood. I don't want to be in a bad mood.
Yeah.
But of course, you also parted ways with Dan just after it was completed, I believe. I saw him in Brisbane, played with his other band not too long ago. But how was that? Was that difficult for you guys at the time?
It was, you never want to lose a band member. And he's been in the band for, since maybe 2005, I think. I can't remember, but he's been in the band for so long. It's hard to, let another member go and have to go through the process of finding someone else. And, Dan lives in Melbourne as well with Tim, myself, and Matt. And, so we'll go to shows and, he'll be there. So it's not like he's gone forever, but, as part of the band, he was an integral part of the band and an incredible drummer. And, one of the best metal drummers in the world. And, and he was, the one thing about him was that he was always reliable. He was solid. He barely would ever make a mistake. And, you know, I kind of admired that sort of thing. And it kind of made me a better musician as well. My timing is fucking horrendous. But with Dan there, it's made me a lot better musician. So we're going to miss his input in what we do. And we hope the best for, you know, Black Anvil, his new band. But at the same time, we're opening another chapter to move forward, and looking forward to seeing what we do next. And hopefully we'll be able to also prove to people that one member doesn't necessarily make a band. It's the collaborative effort. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's, you know, your position in a band, you can't necessarily take for granted. And so, you know, I advise every member to put, you know, if they love what they do, just put everything into it. So
have you chosen, let me back that up. Sorry, to the case of the Mondays. Have you got a new drummer lined up for the show?
For the shows, yes, we do. Hoping to announce that in a few weeks.
Okay.
So we do have someone that is quite capable of playing the tracks, old and new. So people can rest assured that we have an incredible drummer.
Okay, all right. So you're not going to tell me right now, eh?
Unfortunately,
your old mate Nev. Come on, mate. All right.
I've got to contend with 5 other people in my band.
Keep your secrets, as says. That's all right.
Yeah.
Oh, mate. But hey, man, next month I believe marks 20 years since you guys formed, right? That's insane. Yes. It's such a massive achievement. How are you feeling? How are you going to celebrate it?
Well, we're I guess in a sense we're celebrating it by releasing another album, but you know, doing shows, and it's just been such a complex time, and 20 years did creep up, like, but even so, a lot of people don't realize that we've been around for 20 years, and they only think we've been around, you know, for about 10 years since we released Paul Levi, but they don't realize the 10 years of hard work we put in prior to that. And it's such a strange thing. But it's you know, I try not to celebrate things too much, because I don't want to get ahead of myself. You know, I appreciate things to a degree, but at the same time, I'm always aware that as a band, you need to move forward.
Yes.
You can appreciate what you've done over the years, and you know, I do think that's important, but at the same time, I don't want to lose focus on all the stuff in the future that we have yet to achieve.
I'm sure that there were certain moments, highlights throughout your career that you look at and you go, you know what, that was pretty fucking cool. You know, I'm sure, yeah. You know, is there anyone that particularly stands out to you that, you know?
I think one of my biggest kind of moments is, you know, Emperor has always been one of my favorite bands, even, you know, as a teenager, and grew up. Just Anthems to the Welcome to Dusk is an amazing album. Will be, you know, in my top 2 albums of all time. And we got the opportunity to support Isham across Europe.
Oh man.
And that was such a mind-blowing experience to be able to tour with him. And he's such a he's the nicest person you'll ever meet.
He is.
It's I can't stress that enough. Like, you know, when people say never meet your idols, it's that to some extent is true, but this is complete opposite in this case. And I've never met a nicer guy in my life. And it was just mind-blowing. Someone of his, you know, you put all these people up on a pedestal, and he's even, you know, every load in, he's there helping the support bands load their gear into venues. And I had to say to him at some stage, like, you don't do this. Go,
Sit down.
go relax. Go relax. But and no, he
Oh
would
man.
just always help out, and it was so amazing to see. And it was really eye opening, and I'll never forget that experience. Out of all the tours that we've done, shows, like being able to tour with Isham was probably my highlight. I would have to say.
I only got to see him once in Brisbane.
Yeah.
So, but man, I'm a massive fan of his solo stuff. Like that dude can do no wrong in my eyes.
No.
And man, is he going to be here in May? Emperor.
Yeah, we won't be though.
Oh, dude, I'm
No,
sorry. You'll be out kicking ass on your own, but you know, it's still.
Yeah, it would have been nice to catch up with him, but it's kind of sad. But you know, you've got to weigh up. You know, there'll be other opportunities down the track, and you know, we've got our own band, and we need to do what's best for the band. So, but you know, it is pretty tragic, but I'll get over it eventually.
Have you seen Emperor?
Oh, absolutely. I saw both. Well, I've seen him a few times actually.
Yeah.
In Melbourne.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So I'm not, and that was, yeah, I'm not disappointed in that respect, but you know, being one of my favorite bands,
yeah,
you know,
you're
I
like,
want to see them all the time. I mean, when we toured with Ishan, I got to see Ishan every night, but I didn't get to necessarily see Emperor every night.
That's it. Yeah,
So,
yeah. Hey, you never
I do appreciate Ishan. I love Ishan's music, but Emperor is, you know, something else.
Man, you never know what the future holds there, eh?
That's right.
Just putting it out. Be a pretty
well
cool tour.
Well, everyone in the band, if there's one band everyone in Neo likes, is Emperor. Like, we can't, it's probably the only band we'll all agree on. So, you know, if you know, for instance, we did a cover song, the only band we would probably all agree on is doing an Emperor cover. So
that's
probably why yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to hearing that if it pops up. But
well, would love to do it, but you know, it's a timing thing, and
yeah, of course,
because our albums take quite a while, we have to weigh up or prioritize what we should be doing.
They're pretty damn epic. Like, they're not short little 5 minute things. There's a lot that goes into those things.
Yeah, they're not for people with a short attention span. So
that's not true. I have a short attention span and I enjoy them a lot. So
well,
there you go.
There's hope. There's hope. There's hope. Not necessarily sure you'll see our songs on TikTok or something like that though. So, but yeah, we like to develop ideas and you know, flesh out. Yeah, I don't like listening to music that, you know, you hear a riff once for 10 seconds and then you never hear it again. And I mean, I guess to some extent we have extremes where we'll play one riff for a few minutes, but at the same time we do develop ideas and kind of add layers and develop it a little bit. So, but yeah, I tend to like music where you have to, it provides a journey for you. You kind of, you get to travel on that journey, and it feels deeper. It feels like there's more effort put into it as opposed to something that's like a quick fix.
You have to be present as well.
Yeah, it is you. I guess a lot of our music you can't necessarily listen to in the background, well, otherwise you'll miss a lot of the details. And I find that our music, for a lot of people, especially people that don't necessarily listen to music that isn't prog related, our music does require a little bit of time to absorb and to hear all the details. And you know, it's why I guess I like Emperor a lot, is you'll listen to it once and then you listen to it again, you keep finding details in the music, and it's so many layers, and it's like each time I listen to it, it's like you find something new. And And I think in our music, it's almost like that, where there
Yes,
is those different elements you'll pick up each time as you grow familiar with the music.
absolutely. And
Mm.
man, you've got this tour coming up. You're with everyone sort of everywhere. How are you guys preparing for it? How do you guys do that without jamming in a room together?
It is, I mean, 20 years ago, we used to all live in Melbourne, and we all used to, without fail, rehearse every weekend. And over time, as you mature as musicians, you do a lot of practice at home. Um, that's ultimately, you're mature enough. You've toured a lot, so you know what it takes to tour. And everyone does their own thing, um, in their own time. We trust that everyone will do that and is prepared for tour. And then, we'll catch up maybe a week or a few days before tour, and then jam through everything to make sure that we're all on the same page. And it seems to work for us. So yeah, I think it's just ultimately being about just practicing your craft, as every musician should be if they want to get better anyway, in their own time, develop themselves, and then catch up with everyone. And yeah, I think it's just about respecting everyone, and that they're able to contribute as part of the band, I guess.
Can we expect an Australian run at some point?
Now we can.
Oh,
We can.
okay.
Yeah,
When?
second half of this year. No,
Nice.
later this year. So we have a little surprise for that one. So yes, there will be something. Venues are booked. So it's definitely happening. We're just fine-tuning a few details, so something should be announced maybe in a couple of weeks or so.
Okay, second half of this year.
Yes.
Is it with somebody? I take a
Yeah,
guess.
generally most
I
bands
don't
play
want to
with
think
another
too
band.
much because I'm gonna get you in trouble. But mate, I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting with the bands that we've got in touch with to help us with this tour. So we'll see. It's pretty exciting. Hopefully. But when you're dealing with bands, there's so many different factors in terms of availability, cost. Um, it's a juggle, and we're pretty much there. So I'm very hopeful for what's coming up.
And venues at the moment too. Like
Mm.
I guess that's the thing I'm finding is man, everything's getting booked up so fast
It
because
is.
everyone's
Everyone
coming
wants
out of the
to.
woodwork.
Everyone's making up for lost time.
Yeah, man.
So and in Australia, you don't, I mean, we don't have that many venues. Um, I mean, well, honestly, I'm not quite familiar with the venues interstate or anything at the moment, because we haven't traveled interstate for a long time. And but everything's booking up quickly. It's like with anything across the world, every country, everything's becoming more expensive.
Yes.
Routing changes because of venues being booked, or venues going bust, or whatever it is. So it is a logistical nightmare. But if you have a bit of foresight and book well in advance, then you're a bit safer.
Well, mate, I definitely hope we get to see you up here in well, Brisbane's that way. I'm on the Gold Coast, but I'm kind of near there. So
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
probably see you.
we'll be up to Brisbane.
Excellent, man. Well, we can't wait to see you. Mate, thanks for hanging out on the show, dude. It's been really
It's been a
cool.
pleasure.
Thank you,
No,
man.
I really appreciate it, man. It's thank you very much for having me.
And we will have all the links here to Exul in the show notes and on the website. Dude, if we don't see you before then, take care, stay safe out there on the road, and
Thank
send
you.
all the boys our love.
No
Enjoy
worries.
the
Will
road, my
do.
man. See you
Thank
soon.
you very much. We'll see you.